Alright guys, y'all really requested this video, y'all really wanted to see it, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. I've gotten a lot of video suggestions lately. If you're in the Dynasty group chat, make sure that you go down, let me know what y'all want to watch, because that's what I'm really going to be making videos on. I have a lot of free time coming up because of the coronavirus. I'm sure y'all have the same, so hopefully I can make more than one video a day, but the definite best way for that to happen is if we get a lot more Patreon members where I don't go out and get a job and I can just sit here, make videos, do mock drafts, answer questions all day. That would be fantastic. So if y'all really want to support the show, make sure y'all support it on Patreon. Once you do, shoot me a DM of your name in the Discord chat. I'll go down, give you permissions where you can come down and suggest videos where I think that's where most of the majority of the videos are going to be coming from now on. Well, let's get right into it, and this is the video we're going to be talking about today. Like y'all saw at the beginning of the video, we're going to be discussing the three running backs that were once studs, once early first round startup picks, and now really are only worth of a fraction of what they were before. And this is Todd Gurley, David Johnson, and Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, there are a lot of other names to this list, but I believe that these are the three most prevalent running backs we should be talking about in this discussion. Because as early as 2018, okay, so just 2 years ago, Todd Gurley was the running back 1 in ADP, David Johnson was the running back 3 in ADP, and Le'Veon Bell was the running back 4. And now this isn't redraft ADP for 2018. This is Dynasty ADP. So we see that a lot of people very recently started building their Dynasty teams around these three running backs. And if you bought them at this price, yes, you may have gotten some great production, but right now you don't really have much value on your roster. So let's kind of discuss if you should be selling them, if you have them, if you should be holding them, or if you don't have them, if you should be going out and buying them. And I think there's a really clear option for all three of these running backs that we're going to get into, and we're going to start with Todd Gurley. And instead of referencing ADP for this offseason, I think it's a lot more relevant if I reference my own Dynasty startup drafts that I've participated in, because most of my leagues are $100 buy-in plus. They're I don't want to say they're super high stakes. They're not FFPC thousands of dollars leagues, but all my buy-ins are essentially, I think the Patreon Dynasty leagues are the cheapest leagues I have. Everything else is $100. So the point is, people know what they're doing. People are putting up money where their mouth is to play in these leagues, and they're not just going on a mock draft and not really caring. So in this latest draft I had, Todd Gurley went as running back 16. And to show where this value really is at, where you can kind of translate this to real Dynasty leagues, this is right behind Devin Singletary and Kerryon Johnson, and right before Chris Carson, Marlon Mack, and David Montgomery. So if you're thinking about where his value is compared to other running backs in that range, usually you should be able to go out and kind of flip those running backs interchangeably and really move trades that way. And if we look at the Todd Gurley profile, we all know the story. He's going into year 6, but he came into the NFL extremely young. So to start this next season, he's only going to be 26 years old, which is kind of surprising because when you hear Todd Gurley, you think he's been around in the NFL forever. But no, he came in with the class of Amari Cooper and Kevin White, and he's only going to be 26 years old. And what's really weird about Todd Gurley, if you look at his past production, is we all know the knock on Todd Gurley is his health. We always hear about the knee, we hear about the arthritis, and yet he's only missed 4 games in the past 4 years. Now, I know if I would have just ran a quick poll, if I would have told you all to comment how many games you thought he's missed the past 4 seasons, none of y'all would have said 4 games. It would have been anywhere from 10 to 15. At least that's what my guess would have been. But I was very surprised to see that he's only missed 4 games. So why has his value dropped this much? And let me get into exactly why and really what the Rams have done to show us that they don't really want him. They know what he is. They know who he is. They know what his problems are. And we should just base off our decisions off their actions, because they're the ones that have more investment into Todd Gurley than anyone else. They have more invested in Todd Gurley than Todd Gurley has invested into Todd Gurley. And they go out last offseason, and most teams really, they only try to give out good reports of their players. They always try to bump up the positives, hide the negatives, and really give the fans what they want to hear. The Rams didn't do that at all. They came out and said, yes, Todd Gurley's knee is a problem. Yes, we're going to have to manage it throughout the season. And not only did they make that press announcement, not only did Sean McVay come out and give us that information, but the team went out and spent a third-round pick on Darrell Henderson right after matching a offer sheet for Malcolm Brown from the Detroit Lions. So both of these actions really drove down Todd Gurley's price last offseason to the point where he started the offseason in redraft leagues being drafted as the running back 2 behind Saquon Barkley to being drafted at the very end of the second round, early third round, right before the season started, just because we saw the team's actions, and really nobody wanted a part of him just because we knew that he wasn't going to be getting the touches he's seen in the past, and honestly, he wasn't going to be as efficient as he was in the past. And let me get into exactly what I'm saying, because he only missed one game last season, but that doesn't mean he was the same player he once was. So in 2017, he averaged almost 23 touches per game, 22.9. And with those touches, he averaged 6.1 yards per touch. So this is peak Todd Gurley. This is Todd Gurley. Everyone is consensus. He's the best running back in the NFL. Everyone's excited about the Rams and really wants a piece of Todd Gurley in that offense. Now, 2018, we see him take a step back when it comes into with efficiency, but his volume's still there. He's still getting the touches, and he's still scoring the touchdowns. So he has 22.5 touches per game, which is nearly identical from the year before. But we do see a pretty drastic, I'll say drastic, decline in yards per touch. He goes from 6.1 yards per touch to 5.8 yards per touch, it's a considerable amount. It's something worth noting, especially when we see this trend continue in 2019. In 2019, when the reports of the arthritis come out, he comes out and only averages 16.9 touches per game. And with these touches, you would think, they're limiting him, that he's going to be more fresh every time he's in the game touching the ball. He's going to be able to do more with it. The exact opposite. We see his efficiency fall off a cliff from where he was an elite running back in the NFL to, if anything, a below average running back in the NFL. We see him go from 5.81 yards per touch to 4.1 yards per touch. Now, this is a drastic fall off, and this is why I'm out here advocating that I know Todd Gurley is getting a little bit of resurgence in value. People are seeing that he did not miss time, the amount of time we thought he was going to last offseason. People are starting to buy back in. But yes, he played in a lot of games. He scored a lot of fantasy points too, but all those points came from touchdowns. So his floor is really not there. I hate to say it. I know he is one of the best touchdown scoring running backs in the NFL, even at this age, even at this point in his career, but we cannot rely on that. We need more than just touchdowns. We saw his receptions fall off a cliff, and we saw his yards per touch really diminish. So I think going forward, the Los Angeles Rams are going to try to continue to work Darrell Henderson in the game. I'm not sorry. That's a bad phrasing because they didn't do that at all his rookie year. But I think his second year, they're going to try to get him involved. They did trade up to take him in the third round. They did invest a significant amount into him. So I think that Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson is really going to split the backfield in 2020. And Todd Gurley at RB16, I think he can finish there in redraft. I think he can provide value on that for 2020. But the thing with Todd Gurley is his value is never going to be higher than it is now just because the Dynasty community. Even if he comes out and puts up a low-end RB1 season, this time next offseason, he's going to be lower than RB16 just because the rookies coming in, by then they'll be sophomores. Then we'll be seeing a new rookie class come in. Todd Gurley will be 1 year older, going to be 27 going into year 7. And the Dynasty community is going to have that value lower. So without the massive ceiling of a top RB1 finish, I'm really not investing into Todd Gurley. If anything, I'm selling him at this price. I know it's selling a stock low. This is the lowest he's been his entire career, even after the Jeff Fisher year. But I'm advocating get out now just because the ceiling isn't there. and in my opinion, neither is the floor. I'd much rather buy Darrell Henderson for a lot less. He went as RB 33 in that last startup. So I think the price point to get out on Todd Gurley is a late first round rookie pick in a one quarterback league and an early second round rookie pick in a Superflex league, which I think is completely doable. You're not going to be able to get that price every single league, but if you go out, work hard in the leagues you have him, you most likely are going to be able to pull that. And please, if you don't agree with me, leave a comment. I love reading the comments, especially when y'all don't agree with me and you bring some kind of insight into why I'm wrong, whether that's something I said or just an analysis point that I made. But please leave a comment. Now we're going to go down to David Johnson. Now, the thing with David Johnson is I love him. I'm just going to put that out there. He was my running back 2 behind Christian McCaffrey in 2019 just for redraft. I thought that he was going to smash. I had David Johnson in a lot of leagues. He was probably one of my biggest misses. We know the story. He went into 2019 and he actually performed very well. About 6 weeks, I don't have the numbers pulled up right in front of me, but off the top of my head, I think 5 or 6 weeks in, he was a RB1. He was really putting up numbers, just like what you expected. He didn't necessarily hit the ceiling I thought he had, but by no means a disappointment. Then he deals with some injuries. Chase Edmonds comes in, completely smashes, looks way better than David Johnson. Then Chase Edmonds gets injured, and they trade for Kenyon Drake, and Kenyon Drake comes in, just completely takes over the job, doesn't not look back, doesn't give David Johnson or Chase Edmonds a single chance to regain that position. So let's just get into his value right now. So David Johnson in that last startup, he was taken right behind Sony Michel and Darius Geis, which is very fair. I can definitely see the argument taking both of those running backs, especially Darius Geis ahead of David Johnson. But he was also taken right ahead of Damian Williams, Royce Freeman, and Raheem Mostert. And so I'm going to say that where I thought Todd Gurley was a sell, I can confidently say based on these values, David Johnson is going to be a hold, just because I don't think he necessarily has the value because he's right here, but I don't think I'm willing to sell him for any of those running backs that are going after him because he's going into year 6 just like Todd Gurley. He was in the same rookie class, but the difference with him is he came in as an older rookie. He was 28 years old, so he's at the very back end of his career, even though the money that Arizona has locked into him guarantees him a spot on that roster, in my opinion, even if he's not going to be the starting running back. Now, the reason I think that his value is this low compared to Todd Gurley's is Twitter. I know it sounds dumb, but if you are on fantasy Twitter, you saw the GIF of David Johnson that went viral. I mean, it's still being circulated, going around. I think he was running an outside zone and he looked horrible. You didn't know if it was David Johnson or an offensive lineman running the ball. So there's a lot of vividness bias. There's a lot of people that just are completely writing David Johnson off. So this is a running back that I think that he could be a hold right now, but due to that bias, if Kenyon Drake does not come back to the Arizona Cardinals and they don't invest in the position really elsewhere, I think David Johnson could be a buy. If we only see his value go up a little bit, I may be willing to buy into him just for one more season of production and see what he can do in an offense that I really believe in. But for now, I will say in this backfield, the action you want to take is you want to buy Chase Edmonds, because Chase Edmonds has looked very, very good in every opportunity that he's gotten. He's still on his rookie contract. He still has a spot on that team. And David Johnson looked bad. Chase Edmonds is completely free. I didn't have the spot he was recently drafted on, but I know all the mock drafts that we've been doing through Discord, I don't think I've seen Chase Edmonds be drafted in a single one. It's an extremely, extremely great buy low right now. Definitely recommend going out and getting him. Now, this last running back, very, very interesting. Le'Veon Bell. I kind of been off Le'Veon Bell his entire career until last offseason. Last offseason, I bought him. I don't really remember even what the price I paid for him was. I just know I was a very, very strong contender in the league. I think I went out and paid like a mid-2019 first-round pick for Le'Veon Bell, and I still think the move was smart looking back then, but let's get into Le'Veon Bell's value and situation right now. He went as running back 22 in that latest startup I did. He went right ahead of Philip Lindsay, Kenyon Drake, Kareem Hunt, and right behind James Conner and Melvin Gordon. Now, please comment what you think of this value, but in my opinion, I think this is way, way too high for Le'Veon Bell. I think that Le'Veon Bell should not be in this range. I think he should be in this similar to David Johnson, but there's no way that he should be going ahead of Kareem Hunt, in my opinion, or Kenyon Drake. I can see, actually, no. He shouldn't be going ahead of Philip Lindsay either. Y'all know that I'm not a big Philip Lindsay fan for whatever reason, but I'm willing to say that Philip Lindsay definitely should be going ahead of Le'Veon Bell. This because he's 28 years old. He's going into his 7th season, but he's been in the NFL for 8 years if we consider his holdout season a season in the NFL. And so we know that running backs fall off a cliff unless you're Frank Gore. And even if you are Frank Gore, you're only going to be a running back 3, running back 4. Le'Veon Bell is extremely old. He did not look like he had any explosion left in him last offseason. He just looked like he was dust. I mean, I hate to say it, but Le'Veon Bell does not care about football, in my opinion. Does not care about lasting in the NFL. I think he came back for this last contract. Clearly did not get along with the team. He's in a shitty situation as is, and I can't see it getting much worse. Adam Gase is possibly the worst offensive-minded coach in the NFL, and that he doesn't even want Le'Veon Bell on the team. I mean, a horrible, egotistic coach is not going to hand the ball over to a running back that he doesn't want on the team 300 times a season. And so let's get into what he did in 2019, and kind of really flew under the radar how horrific it was. He had a 3.2 yards per carry. I know, horrible offense. Sam Darnold got mono. Everything went off the rails. But at the same time, you have to do better than that, especially if you're getting paid the money Le'Veon Bell is. What did save him is he had 66 receptions. I will give him that. I think that kind of raises his floor where Todd Gurley doesn't necessarily have the floor, in my opinion, just because Gurley's floor is based on touchdowns, and I would much rather bank on receptions over touchdowns because I think they're easier to project and easier to expect the player to get. But where Le'Veon Bell does have room for growth if this offense gets better is in the touchdown department. He only scored 4 touchdowns in 2019, which clearly hurt his fantasy value, but we know that out of all fantasy stats, touchdowns are the most random. They're the most year-to-year dependent. So if he somehow can turn this around, he can be a decent running back in 2020. I could see him being a high-end running back too. But at the same time, the same argument that was said with Todd Gurley, where their value's never going up from where it is now, it's only going down. Even if he is a high RB2, I don't really want to make the investment where he's being drafted at right now. Much rather have Kareem Hunt and shoot for upside, shoot for long-term league-winning potential. But thank you so much, guys, for checking out the video. If you have not already, go join the Discord. That's where we talk Dynasty. Have a great day.